Day 4, 21 June 2016, Las Vegas, Nevada. In the early morning hours, we stealthily mount our bikes. Today, we are after the state of California. We had planned to swing through yesterday, but the heat of Kingman, Arizona forced us to change our plans and seek Las Vegas. Needles, California was ditched in favor of this morning's escapade. It will be an ever so brief crossing into this golden state, but we are after all of the lower 48. The early morning ride is designed to avoid the abusive heat. The plan is successful because the temperature feels chilly. I am familiar with the tricks the desert pulls on the body. I learned that lesson in Iraq. It is hot enough to melt any resolve that one could muster to continue during the day, cold, almost freezing come night and early morning hours. The Mojave is no different. It is the circle of cruelty a waterless air plays on life brave enough to live in its domain. Curiosity catches me enough to check the temperature. 95 degrees? What voodoo is this? How can 95 degrees cause a shiver? I don't know, but it's a fact. Desert, you will not catch these wanderers in your moisture-sucking daytime grip. Having throttled up, we ride for broke, letting the Speedo threaten to snap off in our mad scramble for a simple metal sign. We are not the only group with this idea. A church van is posing next to the coveted boundary marker. They snap their pics and offer to take ours. I grin like the newly hydrated fool that I am. Dedicated to the cause, I push the folly forward, setting my motorcycle in front of the state sign. California line crossed, we ride like our hair is on fire back to the shelter of the money-sucking casino that serves as our oasis. We stop only long enough to refuel the steel steeds we used to spirit us out of this unforgiving wasteland. Vegas, baby! Would have been how I felt if I were not feeling like a giant stick of beef jerky. I don't normally add a lot of salt to my meals, but I need it today. I salt everything. Fries, steak, mashed potatoes, even my chocolate pie. You have heard what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. I can say without divulging any dirty secrets that today was one of pure recovery. Shannon and I need an added bag for the treasure we are gathering on this trip, so off we go to the Harley store on Fremont Street. I was warned by our friends that Fremont Street is wild, but it is tame in the early morning hours. To our great disappointment, the Harley shop is just a clothing and souvenir store, so we need to catch a cab. The heat of the day is starting to reveal itself, and we are not wanting to roast anymore before we ride out of this place. We are not pleased that a trip across town for a luggage purchase is required, but we reason it is needed. When the cab arrives, I notice the cabbie has a familiar accent. I served with a man of African descent, not African American, but a first-generation African. I ask him where he is from. I did not recognize the place, so I ask how he likes it here. He said where he is from has a similar climate and just loves Vegas. Feels like home, he says with a warm smile. He tells us how much better life is here and how he hopes to be able to bring his family over sometime in the future. We arrive at the dealership quickly and decide to keep him as our cabbie. This dealership is the grandest Harley Davidson I have ever been in, but not the friendliest. We find the bag we are looking for, choose our poker chip, and cash out. The return trip to the Golden Nugget is further evidence we were wise to take a cab and not ride to the Harley dealership. Traffic stopped several times. We would have been worse for the wear trying to ride. Back at the hotel, we decide to do the standard gambling expected of a Vegas visitor. We have a new suitcase to haul our winnings after all. We are not much for gambling, so we set a limit to spend per person and set out to hit it big. It is possible, we reason, that one lucky pull could fund this trip and the rest of our future joyrides. After about 5 minutes and $50 per person over our agreed upon limit, we walk away disappointed. No jackpot for us. The sign advertising the loosest slots in town reside at our hotel is a lie. 5 minutes of gambling and I'm ready for a nap. Pathetic, right? Well, it turns out to be a good plan. For what we see that evening is the most interesting display of people watching I have ever been witness to. It is called the Fremont Experience after all, and this time it is in full force. Just a simple stroll down a street, much like many others, allows for a view into the most bizarre display of freaks and entertainers. Example, right out of the casino doors is an attractive Latina lady, mid-30s, wearing a G-string bottom and pasties over her nipples. Why, one might ask? To make money, of course. She offers the opportunity to pose with her for a picture. The street proves to be an equal opportunity sexual display, with men offering the same service. They have more of an elephant trunk-shaped G-string on and nothing else. Next, a fully dressed musician with just an amp, a guitar, dances around playing chords with no discernible song. Then 3 men who are double-jointed show a disgusting display of flexibility. Real cringe-worthy stuff, but it holds the eye and draws cash donations. Next, an amputee, rolling on a kneeling scooter, asks for money to help fund an artificial leg. He confesses to be a veteran and is short a mere $1,200 to make his new leg a possibility. He is a rookie to the game, obviously, because he chooses to tell me his drama right in front of a live band. I only catch bits and pieces of his story. Leg, $1,200, vet is all I have to work with. Somehow I jigsaw his story together. On the return trip back down the street to the hotel, I see Chippendale dancers have a booth where giggling ladies of all ages form a line to pose with these thong-wearing hunks. I am tempted to join the fray by posing my frame next to their greased-up display, but decide to save them the embarrassment of having to compete with this godlike display of dad bod. I admire honesty, but an old lady with a Batman mask sitting in a wheelchair wearing nothing but thigh-high boots with a sign that reads, "F you pay me," is too honest and is more revolting than intriguing. The most fascinating thing to me is not the freaks and nudity, but rather the strollers of babies and toddlers exposed to it. What the majority of sane people would label adult entertainment is fair game for those young, impressionable minds. To each their own, I guess. Sideshow observed, we head back to our rooms for some more much-needed rest. There were 2 things I will save for my next trip. One is to ride the zip line that passes the entirety of the street, giving a top-down view of the madness. The second is a water slide that is in the center of the hotel. But I have had all I can handle of Las Vegas this go-round. Tomorrow we ride out at an ungodly hour, hoping to beat the heat. I would love to be able to tell wild stories of drunken revelry, big winnings, or some other thing that happens in Vegas and stays in Vegas, but that is not how my Vegas experience went. Until next time, my name is James Parker, and I am a Savage Rider. Savage Rider, out. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, consider giving it a like and sharing it with your friends. If you would like to be notified of future releases, consider subscribing to my channel. If you think it was cringe and absolutely ridiculous, go ahead and tell me in the comments below. Then share it with your friends. They may need a dose of cringe silliness today. Either way, thank you and God bless.